is this?
Sigma machine, son.
Here we are again, back at it with the Item Asylum Advanced Miscellaneous Guide. What's different about miscellaneous items is that they aren't usually your primary means of damage like your ranged or melee weapons are. They're used really just as a support item to enhance your gameplay. So to do this, there aren't any general tips that apply to all the weapons. So although I will break this video up into categories, keep in mind that these only serve as an easier way to understand the large amount of advice I'm about to throw at you. Let's begin.
You guys ready?
Let's start with Dunk. There's two ways you can use Dunk. You can use it either coming up or coming down. When coming up, it's very easy to hit, but just keep in mind that you have to jump before you do it or it won't register. Coming down is harder to land, but it lets you follow up for the kill a lot easier. It really didn't take me that long to naturally gauge the distance you need to land it, but if you aren't landing them, I suggest to practice on combat dummies in a private server. A Singular Punch, Heart to Heart, Harmonic Blade, and Shadow Clones are all extremely powerful weapons, but you gotta use them correctly. If you have a weapon that stuns and does more than 35 damage like Lucille, I know I use Lucille as an example in like every video, I'm sorry, but this weapon is just too good. Anyway, you can open with that, and then right after, activate your miscellaneous item. All these misc items will instantly kill the target upon connecting, besides Shadow Clones. But the reason why Shadow Clones are so good is because timed right, they'll stun immediately and leave your opponent pretty much defenseless. If you have a ranged weapon that does more than 35 damage like Bow, that also works if you land it. And the only reason I'm using 35 damage is because Harmonic Blade is 65, but if you know the damage values, which are also listed on screen right now, you don't need that much damage. For example, Heart to Heart does a whopping 85 damage, so you can open with something like Kane for an instant 100 damage combo. Abyssal Scream can be extremely useful, but you have to use it right. Think of Abyssal Scream like you're making this tool a speed round. It makes you and your enemy take more damage, so try to use it if you have more HP than them, or you just believe you're much better than them and want the duel to end quickly. However, using the item leaves you open to a lot of attacks for a few seconds, so I suggest to do this behind walls and then push the enemy. Presidential Key is the same overall purpose, however only use this weapon if your loadout is built for close quarters. Melee-dependent stunning loadouts work best for this, but if your primary weapon is Chicago for example, obviously that's not the best idea. However, if you have a highly ranged loadout and you want to see someone approaching you, you can activate the Presidential Key out of their range in order to make yourself untouchable. The point of doing this is to hope that once you use the key, they'll go to a new opponent or get attacked by someone else. But in small servers or large maps where there aren't people around, they'll just camp where you used it. There's two weapons that do more damage based on you or your opponent's kills. Judgment and Cypher-Give Alpha. With Cypher-Give Alpha, this does more damage based on your enemy's kills. So if you were to target the guy at the top of the leaderboard who's been torturing you the whole round, now's the time to cleanse them of their sins. While using Borrow, you should know a few things. First off, do not equip this weapon at all unless you're actively trying to steal someone's item, because once they know you have it, it's extremely easy to bait out. And next, this weapon is best used defensively, because if you just rush anyone and use Borrow, your chances of getting a weapon you want is very low. So just to scout out other people fighting, or try to get someone to press you. Then you can see their weapon and ask yourself if you want it or not. When playing against Borrow, as I said before, it's extremely easy to just bait out by approaching them with your melee out, and then unequipping your weapon to bait out their swing. However, a better and more permanent solution that I use is to just give them garbage. If you have Dragon Slayer and Brass Monkey, equip Dragon Slayer like you're going to try and hit them. Once you get close enough and they pull out Borrow, equip whatever you want to give away. This is one reason why you shouldn't instantly place quote-unquote bad miscellaneous items like Brass Monkey. The other reason is because with placeable items, you may think that these are just joke items and serve no real purpose, but actually some of these have collision and can be used as shield to block projectiles. And the final items in this section are the stands. Let's go from best to worst in my opinion. Star Platinum does a whopping 72 damage on hit, so I mean you can just open with many items and then do a full 100 damage, or just land a full barrage. The best thing about the World's moveset is his beheading sign doesn't slow you down before or after the swing, unlike weapons like Fire Axe, so landing this shouldn't be that much of an issue. His full M1 combo does do 82 damage, but honestly I don't know how many times you're actually hitting all those, so you can just punch your enemy once and then use beheading sign to finish them off. Next is Shadow the World. Honestly, this thing best works as shift damage or as a tool to get people off of you. Every combo I try to make with this guy just comes out inconsistent, and his knives are completely useless. So his M1s are nice, and Sam Barrage is pretty good, but don't rely too heavily on this guy. And finally, Emperor. Emperor is really just a glorified HP boost. The projectiles are too slow to aim, it doesn't do enough damage, the fast and explosive shot aren't fast enough. I mean, you could use the explosive shot to knock people off of maps like rooftops. Just kidding, that map got taken down. Anyway, yeah, this stand sucks. At least it has cool music though.
Ron James.
Scream if you love Item Asylum.
With the explosives such as Doorbell and Infinite Welfare, these weapons should not be used to try and actually kill people, but as area denial to lead people into a more favorable position. For example, take this area on Water Park. I can drop my bomb here, which blocks off that position. From there, I can then place myself in this corner of this square to cover both of these lanes. It's highly unlikely your enemy will back themselves into a room, but even if they do go that way, I have time to go into that room and press them anyway. So they're probably going to go left, right, or stay in the middle. In any of these positions, I can catch them off guard and try to knock them into the bomb. With deployable Joel though, you can do this on the fly. If someone is approaching you head on, throw him to the right and then pre-fire your melee or ranged weapon slightly left, because if he moves back or into it, he's going to get hit by it, which makes it his only option to go to the left of you. With Roomba, instead of just placing it and walking away, something that works surprisingly well is to place the Roomba and actually defend it. It'll naturally damage whoever tries to press you, and you can help the Roomba stay alive for longer. Instead of using speed offensively, I actually recommend using it as a repellent. If you're low HP and someone's trying to kill you, speed will naturally cause the enemy to back off and can give you time to escape. While using Anvil and Propane, although it does go in a random direction after a few seconds, for the first 2 seconds it goes directly straight, so you can actually reliably aim this at people with shift lock. First off, Stick Horse, Runner's Glove, and Pegasus Boots I all recommend you use shift lock with. However, with items that propel you backwards like Jackson and backwards long jump, I don't recommend to use shift lock because you can't really see where you're going. Next, Cloud in a Bottle pairs really well with items that do a lot of knockback because you can hit them with something like Grand Javelin, launch yourself into them, and then finish them off with a melee or something. Now, people are constantly checking in front of them, to their sides, and behind them. One spot where they aren't checking is up. That's why Parasol is actually kinda good. It allows you to strategically land on top of people, which almost always guarantees you the first hit on them. Similar to Cloud in a Bottle, Ashura Senku has crazy synergy with anything that gives movement speed, or a movement ability like Night Reaper's Double Jump. With Uppercut and Super Jump Punch, these items can be used offensively, but they can also be used to get up to high places and vantage points. A notable use for this is in TC, because if you get Uppercut with Intervention, you can just get to vantage points and snipe everyone. With counter items, specifically Scales of Horror, Tiger Drop, Ice Cream Tree, and Maxwell, my favorite thing to do with these is to first stun your enemy with a melee. Most people after being stunned will spam click whatever they have to damage you as quick as possible. So wait about half a second after you ragdoll them, and then activate your counter item. This will kill them with most of these items, but with Scales of Horror you can just counter them and then follow up with whatever weapons you have in your kit. Also, these counter items make you completely invincible during their duration. This is especially important for items like Ice Cream Tree and Tiger Drop, which last multiple seconds. So if you're being shot at and can't reach cover, using these iframes could save your life. This also applies to Hong, which gives you a ton of iframes during its duration. Just don't abuse this a lot because a good player will just track you where you used it and then camp that spot. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to list all the items that heal because that's just a waste of time. But the first item you should look out for is Chalky Milk, because I thought this item just healed for the longest time, but it actually gives you up to plus 40 extra HP if you drink it all. I mean, if you think that the quick heal is better than starting with 140 HP, then you should save it. But honestly, I think it's better to just drink all of it when you spawn. Also, Pact is useful now. Before it was really just used as a manual with Death Note, but now it doubles your HP and gives you 1.5 times damage. To use this item effectively, either pack your friend or someone who looks like they have a brain and will work with you. Next, there's more to NoobTube than just farming for Smile. Firstly, this weapon and deployable chicken serve as nice deterrents for bosses, giving you an easier time to fighting them. In FFA game modes though, you can use NoobTube as a meat shield to block projectiles or bullets. For loot, you'll probably just be safe by keeping it on healing, but if you want to use it most effectively, here's what I recommend in team go modes because the only thing loot does in solo is heal or let you run away. If your team is attacking, your best bet is to use speed until you reach the enemy, and then switch to healing or fortitude. If your team is defending and the enemy is coming to you, you should use strength to maximize any ranged weapons damage, and then a few seconds before the enemy reaches you, use fortitude. The only other time I recommend using strength in the first place is for pocketing a backliner. Because if you pocket a backliner with intervention, they do almost 100 damage with quickscopes, and more than 100 damage with quickscope headshots. But obviously they have to be good to make this worth it. And that's the end of all the Item Asylum loadout guides. First of all, I want to thank all of these people for helping me with the production of the video, as it would not be possible without them. Next, this is not the end of Item Asylum content on this channel. I have guides for every game mode planned, starting with the dreaded Elim. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing and leaving a like and all that. But thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll see you soon.